Have you ever wondered if someone you love is trying to tell you something without saying a word? Maybe you've noticed small, worrying changes over the past year. A belt that suddenly needs tightening, a tiredness that won't lift, or a quiet withdrawal that feels unlike them. Many people assume death in old age strikes out of nowhere, but the truth is, the body often whispers warnings months, even a year, before the end. The problem. Most of us miss these signs because they seem so minor at first, only piecing the puzzle together when it's too late. Too late to prepare, too late to make those final moments count. In this video, we're diving into 5 key signs that can show up a year before an elderly loved one passes away. Why should you watch until the end? Because these aren't just random clues, they're your chance to act before time runs out. You'll learn to spot what's been hiding in plain sight, understand what their body is saying, and gain the power to provide better care, cherish every last memory, and ensure their final days are wrapped in comfort, dignity, and peace. Stick with us, because knowing these signs won't just prepare you emotionally and practically. It'll help you hold on to what matters most while you still can. If you are not subscribed, I recommend subscribing and activating the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support means a lot to me, and if you enjoyed this video, you can help me continue spreading the valuable lessons by liking and sharing it. If you like the topic of this video, please comment 1. If you don't, please comment 0 to let me know how I can improve and make better videos for you. Now, let's begin. Number 1. Significant weight loss. One of the most unsettling, yet revealing signs that someone may be nearing their final year of life is unintentional weight loss. At first, it may seem subtle, a belt that suddenly needs tightening, clothes that fit a little looser than they used to, or a noticeable decrease in appetite. To many families, it's easily brushed aside as just another part of getting older. But, oh, how mistaken that assumption can be. Weight loss, especially when it happens without any effort or reason, should never be taken lightly. It often means the body is not absorbing nutrients as it once did, a silent but powerful signal that something deeper is at play. It's as if the body itself is quietly retreating, preparing for a transition that we, as caregivers, may not always be ready for. As the body ages, muscle mass naturally decreases, yes. But when that process speeds up, it's more than a sign of aging, it's a warning. Something is breaking down, something is failing. When we see a loved one's strength weakening and their body thinning, we must acknowledge that this isn't simply the inevitable passage of time. It's the body struggling to digest food, the inability to process protein properly, and the slow loss of vitality that we cannot ignore. This gradual yet steady decline in physical health carries a weight that's felt in every area of life. The simple act of moving becomes harder, the risk of fall skyrockets, the immune system weakens, and infections seem to find a way in more easily. But there's more to it than just the physical. This loss of strength is often accompanied by a subtle yet significant change in appetite. For many elderly individuals, food ceases to be a joy. The once loving craving for meals fades away, and suddenly, the idea of eating isn't appealing. They may begin skipping meals or eating only small amounts, no longer interested in the foods that once pleased them. It's not laziness, nor is it a conscious choice. It's a natural shift as the body slows down and no longer signals hunger as frequently. It's as though the body knows it's winding down, and it has no need to consume energy it no longer requires. But this is a heartbreaking reality, one that families often struggle to understand. Chronic diseases like cancer, heart failure, and kidney disease can play a heavy role in this loss of appetite, often presenting themselves subtly long before more noticeable symptoms appear. Conditions like depression or memory loss may also contribute, making eating feel like an impossible task for a person who's already fighting their inner battles. Watching a loved one slip away, losing weight in front of you, can be gut-wrenching. Families may try to fix the problem, offering their loved one's favorite meals or protein shakes in an attempt to nourish them back to health. But when the weight continues to drop, despite these efforts, it's important to understand that it's not just about food. It's the body preparing for something much bigger, something we can't fix with a meal or a supplement. If your loved one is losing weight rapidly, and it's accompanied by weakness, fatigue, or difficulty staying active, please take a moment to truly see them, not just as a person losing weight, but as a body giving up the fight. This is a sign that something more profound is happening. It's not just about appearance. It's about the body sending an urgent message that can't be ignored. What matters now isn't forcing them to eat more, but making sure they're comfortable, hydrated, and at peace. It's about understanding that their body is speaking to us in ways we may not fully comprehend. We must embrace those final moments with clarity, kindness, and a deep sense of love, so that every remaining second can be filled with comfort and meaning. Number 2. Extreme fatigue and weakness. Another undeniable sign that someone may be nearing the end of their life is extreme, unrelenting fatigue, a deep exhaustion that no amount of sleep or rest can seem to fix. This isn't your typical tiredness after a long day or the kind of weariness that a cup of coffee can cure. This is an all-encompassing fatigue that lingers, hanging over every part of their life. Even the smallest of tasks becomes an insurmountable challenge. Getting out of bed, walking across the room, or simply having a conversation. It's a weight that presses down on them, making life feel like it's just too much to bear. For families, seeing a loved one struggle with even the most basic daily activities is heartbreaking. What happened to the person who used to be so full of life, so energetic, so vibrant? That person may now seem like a mere shadow of themselves, and it can be devastating to watch. But this fatigue isn't just a sign of aging. It's the body working in overdrive, conserving energy, and prioritizing the vital functions necessary to keep things running. The organs slow down, the heart doesn't pump as forcefully, circulation weakens, and muscles no longer receive the oxygen they once did. This is the body's way of preparing for its final stage. Instead of fueling movement and activity, the body shifts its energy to preservation. As the body begins to conserve its remaining strength, your loved one may spend more and more time sleeping. Naps become longer, and staying awake for extended periods becomes an exhausting task. Energy levels may fluctuate unexpectedly. One moment they're fine, the next, they're utterly drained. And while the physical symptoms are clear, the emotional toll of this profound fatigue can be just as painful. Many seniors who were once fiercely independent and proud of their strength may now feel embarrassed or frustrated that they can no longer do the things they used to do. They withdraw from social events, avoid interactions with loved ones, and stop participating in hobbies or activities that once brought them joy. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. This emotional isolation is one of the cruelest aspects of the decline. The frustration of not being able to do things for themselves is often compounded by a sense of helplessness. It's not that they don't care, it's that they just don't have the energy to care. This can lead to a cycle of withdrawal, a retreat into themselves where they become less engaged with the world around them. And for families, it's heartbreaking to see the person you love and cherish slowly fade away, emotionally and physically. It's easy to think they're just being lazy, or to urge them to push through the exhaustion. But pushing someone past their limits won't make them feel better. What they need now is understanding, patience, and support. If you notice that a loved one is constantly tired, unable to get enough rest, or showing signs of weakness, take it as a gentle, yet firm, reminder that their body is preparing for something larger than any of us can control. It's time to treasure every moment, to speak with kindness, and to surround them with love. The reality is, they may not have the strength they once did, but they still need us. We must adjust our expectations, letting them rest when they need to, and making their remaining days as comfortable as possible. In the end, it's not about how much they can do. It's about ensuring that they feel loved, valued, and at peace as they walk through their final days. Number 3. Increased confusion or withdrawal. As a person approaches the final stage of life, the changes in their mental and emotional state become increasingly noticeable. It's a heartbreaking and difficult process to witness, but one that, unfortunately, is inevitable. A person who once had a sharp memory, quick wit, and an easy flow of conversation may suddenly forget things that were once second nature to them. Familiar faces might become blurry, and names that once rolled off the tongue might now be lost in the depths of their mind. It's not just a minor slip-up here and there. The subtle signs of cognitive decline can manifest long before death, slowly chipping away at the person you once knew. The mental shifts may begin as early as months or even a year before death. At first, it could seem like simple forgetfulness, like misplacing a key or missing an appointment. But as the days pass, these small moments begin to accumulate, and what seemed harmless at first begins to feel ominous. They may find themselves forgetting appointments, losing track of time, or unable to follow a conversation, despite having no history of memory issues. It's as though the mind, once a well-oiled machine, has begun to break down slowly, leaving them frustrated and confused. It's important to understand that this isn't just aging. Our brains, like any other organ in the body, rely on a constant flow of oxygen and nutrients to function at their best. As blood circulation decreases and oxygen levels drop, the brain starts to falter, much like a once thriving plant withers when deprived of water. This decline leads to disorientation and confusion. The person may struggle to make decisions, and in some instances, they may not even recognize those they've known for decades. What's even more difficult to watch is the emotional withdrawal that often accompanies these cognitive changes. Conversations that once came so easily become draining, and familiar faces lose their appeal. Loud, busy environments may feel overwhelming, and soon, the person you love may retreat into a world of silence and solitude. It's not because they don't care. No, it's because their ability to process emotions and interactions is no longer what it once was. The soul may still be there, but the mind, the vessel that channels connection, has started to shut down. As their cognitive abilities slip away, so do the emotional bonds they once held dear. The once chatty family member who would share stories for hours may now seem lost in thought, barely able to summon the energy to speak. A once vibrant socializer might now sit quietly for hours, staring into space, no longer engaging with the world around them. These small but painful moments are not a personal choice. They are a reflection of the body's natural decline. It's incredibly hard, especially for loved ones who feel as though they're losing the essence of the person they've known and cherished for years. The emotional toll this takes on family members is nothing short of devastating. Watching a loved one, who was once full of life and vitality, slowly slip away mentally and emotionally can feel like a second death. The person you've known and loved is no longer fully there. It's easy to feel helpless in these moments. But the truth is, the best thing you can do is simply be there. Instead of pushing them back into conversations they're too tired to join, meet them where they are. Speak gently, offer them comfort, and never forget that while they may not always respond in the way they once did, they can still feel your presence. Love, in its purest form, transcends words. If you notice someone becoming increasingly confused or disengaged, don't simply brush it off as the inevitable sign of old age. These are often the first signs that the mind and body are preparing for their final transition. Recognizing these signs early on can help you focus on providing comfort and peace during their final days. This is the time to cherish quiet moments, to make their surroundings as safe, familiar, and peaceful as possible. Though their words may fade, your love, your presence, and your compassion will still reach them. And that's something you can hold on to when everything else seems to be slipping away. Number 4. Frequent infections and slow healing. As the body begins to prepare for its final chapter, one of the most glaring signs of decline is the weakening immune system. It's heartbreaking to watch someone who once had a resilient body suddenly become prone to every illness that comes their way. What was once a simple cold or minor infection now lingers for weeks, even months. Wounds that would have healed in a matter of days now take longer, and even small cuts or bruises seem to refuse to heal. The reality is that the body, in its aging process, loses its ability to protect and repair itself. It's not just an unfortunate side effect of getting older, it's a fundamental truth of life's later stages. As the immune system weakens, infections become more frequent and harder to fight. Pneumonia, urinary tract infections, skin infections, and even simple oral infections can become an all-too common occurrence. And while it's easy to dismiss these as mere inconveniences, they are often clear signals that the body is no longer capable of responding the way it once did. What's even more upsetting is that these infections, once treated with a simple round of antibiotics, now seem resistant to treatment. The body's diminished capacity to heal means that even the most basic treatments require more time and effort. The person may need stronger medications, longer recovery periods, or multiple rounds of antibiotics before they start to improve, and even then, the recovery may not be as complete as it once was. It's a cruel reminder that time has a way of eroding the body's defenses. And then there's the issue of chronic wounds. You may notice that small scrapes, cuts, or bruises just won't heal. They may reopen over and over again, or become infected. This happens because poor circulation prevents oxygen and nutrients from reaching the skin and tissues, which delays the healing process. For those who spend a lot of time immobile, like many older adults, the risk of bed sores increases dramatically, and these can become dangerously infected if not treated properly. It's important to understand that infections in the final stages of life often don't show up the way we expect. Instead of the telltale high fever or chills, you might see increased fatigue, confusion, or a loss of appetite. For the elderly, the first sign of an infection might not be the traditional symptoms, but rather a sudden shift in mental awareness. They may become unusually tired or disoriented, and this subtle change should not be ignored. It may be the body's first warning that something is wrong. For families, watching a loved one battle repeated infections can be an emotional roller coaster. It's natural to want to fight for them, to push for one more round of antibiotics, one more hospital visit, hoping that this time, they'll bounce back. But sometimes, the constant medical interventions only add to their suffering, rather than alleviating it. At a certain point, it becomes necessary to shift focus from curing to comforting. Hydration, skin care, pain management, and simply being present in their moments of discomfort can often provide more relief than another round of medication ever could. It's heartbreaking, yes, but also deeply human. Watching someone you love face these physical challenges is incredibly difficult. But remember, it's in these moments that comfort, compassion, and love can make all the difference. As much as we wish we could turn back time, the best we can do is make these final moments as peaceful and dignified as possible, so that their last days are not defined by suffering, but by the love and care that surrounds them. Number 5. Major changes in breathing or circulation. As the body reaches its final stage, one of the most profound and unmistakable signs is a shift in breathing patterns and circulation. It's a deeply emotional experience to witness these changes in a loved one, as it becomes evident that the body is slowly preparing for its last chapter. One of the first things you might notice is the change in their breathing, becoming slower, more shallow, and often accompanied by pauses between breaths. The rhythm of life begins to feel like a fragile dance, with their breaths speeding up unexpectedly, only to slow down again. This irregularity can be unsettling, as it's a clear signal that their body is no longer functioning as it once did. The breath, which once came effortlessly, now feels like a struggle. Some may even experience what is called Cheyne-Stokes respiration, a pattern where quick, deep breaths alternate with long, uncomfortable pauses. These changes can be subtle at first, almost unnoticeable, but over time, they become more pronounced. The air that once filled their lungs with ease now feels harder to come by. It's heartbreaking, yet deeply human, to see these signs of the body winding down. And alongside these changes, there's the unmistakable weakening of circulation, which can be just as distressing to witness. Hands, feet, and sometimes even ears or noses may feel cold to the touch, like distant parts of a body that no longer feel connected to life's pulse. Their skin may start to lose its natural warmth, appearing pale or even bluish in tone, particularly around the extremities. The fingers and toes may take on a mottled, almost lifeless hue. It's as though their body is prioritizing the most essential organs, directing blood flow to the heart and brain while leaving the limbs to fend for themselves. It's a painful reminder that the heart no longer pumps with the same strength it once did, and that time is slipping through our fingers like sand. You might also notice your loved one growing increasingly short of breath, even with the smallest movements. It's as if their body can no longer keep up with the simple acts that once seemed effortless, sitting up, standing, or even speaking. Just the act of changing positions may leave them winded, gasping for air in ways they never did before. And you'll hear it, too. The mouth breathing, the pauses between sentences, as they struggle to catch their breath. They might have once walked across the room with ease, but now, they can barely make it from one chair to the next without feeling out of breath. It's a devastating, unavoidable sign that their lung function is weakening, and in some cases, it could be fluid building up in the lungs, making every breath feel like a battle. That persistent cough, the gurgling sound, the tightness in their chest, these are often mistaken for something as innocent as a cold. But for those who are nearing the end of their life, these symptoms can signal that their lungs are failing, slowly and silently. It's a cruel twist of fate, watching someone you love struggle for every breath, knowing there's no simple remedy. Lying flat may feel unbearable, and the discomfort of it all may lead them to prefer sitting up or resting in a recliner, where they can breathe just a little easier. The helplessness of seeing them like this is overwhelming, as the world feels so much smaller and more fragile than it ever did before. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. For family members, it can be terrifying. There's this urgent desire to fix what's happening, to do something, anything, to help. You might feel the instinct to encourage them to take deeper breaths, or you might find yourself frantically searching for a solution, as if you can halt the inevitable. But in so many cases, these changes are just a part of the natural progression of life. They are the body's way of winding down, of letting go. It can feel like you're watching something sacred slip away, and it's incredibly hard to accept. But the truth is, there's often very little we can do to stop these changes. Instead, what matters most is how we respond to them. There are ways to ease their discomfort, even if we can't reverse the process. A cool room, a humidifier to help with the air, or even offering small sips of water can provide moments of relief. In some cases, medication or oxygen therapy might help, but at this stage, the focus has shifted. It's no longer about trying to fix what's broken. It's about comfort, about peace. It's about creating an environment where they feel safe, loved, and supported, no matter how limited their breaths may become. If you notice changes in breathing, cold extremities, or a bluish tint to the skin, it's important to pay attention. These are signs that the body is conserving energy, slowing circulation, and making the necessary adjustments as it prepares for its final moments. This is the time to be there, to offer calm, to reassure them that they are not alone. These moments, as difficult as they are an invitation to cherish what remains, to create a peaceful environment where love can still thrive. As we reach the end of this discussion, it's impossible not to reflect on the 5 signs we've touched upon: weight loss, exhaustion, memory loss, frequent infections, and changes in breathing and circulation. These changes often signal that the end is near, often occurring in the last year of life. They may not all happen at once, and they may not all be immediately obvious. But when you begin to notice them, it's an undeniable sign that the body is preparing for its final chapter. For many families, these changes are incredibly hard to accept. It's natural to fight against them, to try to get your loved one to eat more, move more, or push through their exhaustion. But sometimes, the most loving thing we can do is accept what's happening and focus on making their remaining time as peaceful and meaningful as possible. We can't stop time, but we can choose how we spend the moments we have left. Recognizing these signs isn't about fearing death. It's about embracing the process with grace. It's about preparing yourself, your family, and your loved one for what's coming, so that you can provide the best care, make informed decisions, and ensure that their final months are filled with love, dignity, and comfort. Now is the time to hold tight to the moments you have left, to share memories, to remind them of the love they've given and received throughout their lives, and to assure them that they are not alone. It's a beautiful, bittersweet time, and one that we must honor with every breath we take. As we come to the end of this video, we've covered a lot of important ground. From the signs of the body preparing for its final stage, to the emotional journey of caring for a loved one during their last months. These changes can be incredibly difficult to witness, but understanding them can help us navigate this challenging time with love, grace, and peace. So, what have you learned from today's video? How will this knowledge impact the way you approach the challenges of aging, illness, or caregiving in your own life? Take a moment to reflect on one key lesson that stood out to you and share it in the comments below. What is something you've learned today that you will take with you and put into practice? If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please leave your comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. By doing so, you'll be helping others discover this content too, and we can continue to share these important conversations with more people. Thank you so much for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.